continues to be a gap between words of commitment and the grim reality of vulnerable populations around the world. In far too many countries, we continue to see systematic and grave human rights violations, widespread impunity, hate speech, exclusion and discrimination.
Emir Suljagic is the director of the Srebrenica Genocide Memorial Centre, and he joins us now live from Sarajevo. Welcome to the programme. This year, Bosnia marked 25 years since the Srebrenica genocide. What does this International Day mean for you as a survivor of genocide?
Well, I guess that for everyone out there who has been a victim of similar episodes, if you will, of mass violence, it's another reminder of the failure of humanity to stop acts like that. And if there's one lesson that we should reaffirm today, then it is that in order to prevent genocides, action must be immediate. For Bosnia, it meant that instead of acting in September 1992, the world waited until September 1995 until the campaign of mass murder, deportation, mass rape, concentration camps evolved into full-blown genocide.
And Emir, I just want to pick up on that point about the immediacy. I have a long quote for you. Do bear with me and our audience. It's from the UN's chief head of cabinet, Maria Luiza Viotti. She says, it's important on this day to recognize that the Holocaust did not start with the gas chambers, nor did the genocides in Rwanda, Srebrenica or Cambodia start with mass killings. They were all preceded by discrimination, hate speech, incitement to violence and the dehumanization of the other. What do you make of that comment now in 2020?
I couldn't agree more. I think that mass violence, the genocides, actually take place in the open. They take place in public, and there is an incremental and gradual movement from words to bullets and machetes. However, I also don't think that the UN, as it is the proper venue to address it. As far as Bosnia and Herzegovina is concerned, it remains the only member state in the history of the United Nations that was first admitted into the membership of the UN and then prevented from exercising its right to self-defense under the very charter of the United Nations. So one of the things that we need to be looking at in order to prevent future atrocities is how the United Nations have actually reacted and how we can improve the way that the UN can bring whatever weight it has to bear upon nation states to act in time.
And Emir, many victims of the Srebrenica massacre have still not been identified 25 years on. So how is there healing? How is there closure?
Well, we are still looking, if I can put it that way, for 1,500 people, and they have not only not been identified, they actually haven't been found. And closure is very hard to come by, if I can put it that way, when you know that there are people perhaps living in the next town, sometimes even in the next village or in the next street, who actually know where your loved ones might be, but refuse to say that. And, you know, in combination with institutional genocide denial by the Bosnian Serb authorities, closure seems to be very far off on the horizon right now.
And do you think we're any closer, 25 years on, for genocide not to be forgotten or repeated?
Well, that's another question. I'm sure that in the present atmosphere, especially in Europe, and with the rise of this far-right neo-Nazi sentiment and mainstreaming of far-right ideologies that we can see taking place in Europe, that if there was another genocide against Muslims in Europe tomorrow, it probably take the same course as it did in the 90s. And in the 90s, we were actually, if it might sound a little cynical, but in the 90s we were even lucky in that Russia, for instance, could not do what it would be able to do today. And then let me remind you that only in 2015, only 5 years ago, Russia exercised its veto to prevent UN Security Council from adopting a resolution that would call Srebrenica by its rightful name, genocide.
Emir, thank you so much for speaking to us on this important day and for sharing your personal perspective as a survivor of genocide. Emir Suljagic, Director of the Srebrenica Genocide Memorial Centre, thank you once again.